You know, I'm not the smartest guy, and I don't know that I've ever claimed to be the smartest guy other than facetiously making dumb jokes and stuff. But, I mean, here I am. Grand Arena rolls around again. My main account is in Kyber 2 while we spend a lot of time grousing. I don't spend a lot of time. We spend time on this channel grousing about and being really more concerned about the lower levels of Grand Arena not being treated fairly. Well, at the upper levels of Grand Arena, and I'm on my main account, I'm in Kyber 2, and we're pushing and kind of starting to knock on the door of Kyber 1. And I've committed to you guys that I'm going to be in Kyber 1 by the end of the year with this roster. So what does that look like? How do we get there? How do I get to Kyber 1? How can you even have dreams of getting to Kyber 1 down there? Because that's the goal, right? Getting to the top is the goal for everyone, including myself. So here we are. How to get to Kyber 1 in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes for Dummies. Well, greetings and hello there, everyone. It is I, your beloved Star Wars Dad, Nooch Too Good, and yes, Grand Arena is right around the corner again. Signups are going, I think they're going on right now. I'm recording this ahead of time, but it's time to play 5v5 Grand Arena again. Maybe when you're watching this, it's time to play 3v3 Grand Arena again. I'm looking at my account today. We're going to talk about how to get to Kyber 1, right? Kyber 1 for Dummies, how to get there. Well, I'll be looking at two accounts today. We're going to compare and contrast two different accounts as we talk about 5 different factors for me getting to Kyber 1 by the end of the year. And these factors will also apply to you. It's not like I'm saying, here's how I'm getting to Kyber 1. You got to think of your own path. These are pretty much universal truths and paths for all of us if you want to eventually get our roster to the tippity top of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So yeah, let's jump right into that. And of course, the number one thing we look at when we think about getting to Kyber 1 is the roster. You know, what does the roster look like? How is it put together? Do you have all of the characters you need to get to Kyber 1? And the answer for me, up until this point, and including this point, has been not quite. No, no for a long time, and not quite now. You know, I've literally been operating. This account is not even 3 years old yet. We are 2 years and 10 months into this account, and I have yet to get my 501st team up and running. They look like they're all relic, but there's no Zetas on this team. One on General Skywalker or whatever, but I've got to get the Zetas applied to this team, and we've got to make this team work. You know, I'm not sure that a roster, in fact, I will say it. I am very sure that a roster that does not have a functioning 501st team is not going to be in Kyber 1, period. Not only is General Skywalker at Relic 8 required for Ahsoka and Lord Vader, this team is just a jack of all trades in Grand Arena. You can put it on defense, you can put it on offense, you get the right Datacron on some clones, you can really wreak havoc on some folks out there in Grand Arena world. So I just have not had the roster to this point that would enable me to get there. With that said, I've done a lot of punching up. I've done a lot. In fact, this account for a while was named Nooch 2 Punch Up. We have punched up, and we have, when we had 1 or 2 Galactic Legends, we were beating rosters with 3, 4, 5, 6 Galactic Legends. We have punched up a lot. Here's the challenge. Kyber 1 is really not very much about punching up. It's about punching sideways. It's about, we've got similar or equal rosters, and getting to Kyber 1 and staying there involves outmaneuvering your opponent and playing better than them. So the first problem here is I have not had the roster to date, and I'm getting General Skywalker up and running. I'm getting Lord Vader up and running. And I've also farmed a lot of the most recently. We farmed Gungans. Last year I should say. We farmed Gungans. We got Baylan Skoll. We got Ahsoka on the roster. We're going to be getting the new pirate teams on the roster, including Galactic Legend Hondo. And I feel like about that time is when we will turn the corner once we unlock Galactic Legend Hondo Onaka, because we've got all the ships required. You know, we got all the 3 capital ships. We got the side. We have all the ships. We got everything going on. And about the time that I get Galactic Legend Hondo Onaka is about the time that our roster will start to round off to the point that I'll be feeling like we can take this account into Kyber 1 here on the channel. Now, a couple things need to round out in the meantime. I've got to get this Mandalorian team up and running. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'll have to get Jocasta new up and running with a Jedi, a Jedi Vanguard team. Probably have to be unlocking Mace Windu, along the which I haven't really talked about much here on the channel. But the clone troopers are now farmable, and by the time we get to Galactic Legend Hondo, I'll probably be able to do a Mace Windu unlock or be very close to it at the time. So, because you've got to have, if you get the most recent teams are going to be, there's a strong bias toward those in Kyber, right? Now let's go take a look at Sanjita's account, because I want to do some comparing and contrasting between our two accounts, because Sanjita is my pal. We talk to him a lot. I talk to him on the side a lot as well. I feel like we've got pretty similar, life and game views, although we kind of approach it from a different method, which is why we have two different YouTube channels. But let's take a look at his roster, which has been living in Kyber 1 for quite some time. All right, here's Sanjita's roster. So what does, he has all the ships, we're not gonna look there. What does a roster look like that's in Kyber 1 and has been there for quite some time? Well, you know what? I know Sanjita doesn't spend money on the game, so he doesn't have the clones done yet. The clones are sitting there, Captain Athano, not ready to go. Does not have Mace Windu yet, but everything else is on the roster. You see the teams up here, or the characters up here that are not relicked. They're not teams that really are being utilized across the board in Kyber Grade. I mean, you can talk about maybe the Wookiees for a while there, I guess, when they had a Datacron, maybe back in the, I don't know, whatever. But everything else on the account is relicked and ready to go. And when you take a look at the account, it is Relic 9 City here. I mean, and this is one of the challenges I'm going to have to face here. His first two rows are all Relic 9. You're talking about characters like Galactic Legends, Gas, Ezra Bridger Exile, the old Mace Windu, Balin Skull, Darth Revan, Maul. These are characters I'm going to have to work on and get them up to Relic 9s. I've got some Relic work to do, because when you get into these Kyber levels, I'm sure Piet is Relic 9. You've got to have these characters, a lot more of them for me at Relic 8 and Relic 9 to have that success in Kyber, because Relic 8 and Relic 9 are really like an entire new gear level that I don't have on most of my rosters. So it's really about filling out the roster. Even though my pal Sanjita is not farming all the new stuff, he's not forking out big bucks for the game, he is filled with really high level characters on this account, and that's a big challenge of mine, not to mention upgrading abilities and Zetas. My Zetas, that's been one of the biggest challenges. Developing a roster quickly leaves you guys know this, I know this, we say it all the time, developing that roster quickly with characters leaves you in the lurch for Zetas and Omicrons. So I've got work to do there for Zetas and Omicrons. It's going to come out of my wallet, but this is what we're striving for, and this is what we're looking for to get to Kyber 1 in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Step number 2 is understanding your roster and knowing what the characters do inside and out, and what they can counter, and what they're good for, and how they work in the game. Now, we all know that nobody really understands the game and the characters till you play with them and understand them. And we all know that I'm a guy, I'm a guy that doesn't like to study. I'm a guy that struggles with all these big giant kits now, making it through these, let me see if I can find an ability. I mean, the verbiage here is just crazy. And there's so much like Bo-Katan Mandalore gains tenacity up for 1 turn at the start of each encounter, which can't be dispelled or prevented. Great. Bo-Katan Mandalore has plus 10 speed stacking for each stunned light side Mandalorian ally. I mean, come on, like 10 speed stacking for each stunned light side Mandalorian ally. So I want to take her in against somebody that's going to do a lot of stunning against me. I don't know. And true damage she deals from Ancestral Resolve is tripled. Okay, that's this ability. So anyway, I just unlocked Bo-Katan Mandalore last week. You guys know this. I have not really taken the time to learn the kits in depth for characters that I have not unlocked. And I will confess that even for characters I have unlocked, I just like to take my toys and throw them around and beat them against the wall and take the wheels off and put the wheels back on and open them up and close them back up to see how they work. I like to play with the toys to see how they work rather than reading the toys' instructions to see how to put them together. So it's going to be important for me to start reading through some kits. Oh boy. Deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict armor shred till the end of the battle. Deal an additional instance of true damage to target enemy which can't be evaded and stun them for 1 turn. If Bo-Katan Mandalore is debuffed, deal true damage an additional time to the target enemy, which can't be evaded. Otherwise, reduce the cooldown of this ability by 1. That's a pretty solid ability. I'm going to have to start really digging into the kits a little bit in my free time. I don't know when that is. I don't know when that is. And taking a look at what these characters do. But also when we talk about learning what these characters do and how the teams work, we are talking about using SWGOH.GG for these filters. And if I look out there and I pull up a Bo-Katan on offense, she was there at the top, and I sort this, I can see the battles that Bo-Katan is involved in and how she's performing, and I want to cycle this just by Kyber, maybe even just by Kyber Division 1. We want to cycle this to see how these guys are doing the game, because the game is fun. The game is played differently at Kyber 1. It just is. It just is. You're getting... You know, you get, I think of Galactic Legend Ahsoka out there with Wat Tambor and Barriss Offee as one of the biggest differences I see right now. And there's other ones, but you don't see that. Even in Kyber 2, you're not seeing those teams out there. But, you know, here's Bo-Katan crushing some Gungans. Here's Bo-Katan, everybody beats Grievous. Solo Ahsoka, taking care of some Lord Vader teams without the clones. So Bo-Katan's doing a lot of work out here on offense, and it's important for me to learn this. A lot of this learning for me is done experientially and by me getting my hands on the character and playing with them over time. But I'm gonna have to mix some studying in there for myself to really understand how all these teams, and especially the new teams that I start unlocking here in the game, are going to work for me. And for our next step, we're gonna go to more studying. So all this studying, my favorite. You know, my wife talks about how much she loves researching this one. I forgot to sign up for Grand Arena. How about that? Step 1, sign up for Grand Arena. Just saying, if you don't sign up, I did pretty well though. 5-1. That was pretty good. Previous to that, I was 6-3. That was 5v5, 6-3. How am I doing here? 58%. Hey, that ain't so bad, right? That ain't so bad. Look, you can look up your opponents on SWGOH.GG and look up their GAC history. You go to your account, you open up your Grand Arena history, and up here, it's got your ally code. Just type in your opponent's ally code, and you can pull up their account and look at their Grand Arena history, and it'll look something like this. You pull up like my account, I see my attacks, I see my defense, you can see what they're setting for defense, you can see what they like to use for offense. I'm going to have to start scouting my opponents. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to have to start scouting my opponents to see what they set on defense and offense. And I will say this. I've done very little scouting on my account. I'm in Kyber 2 here, you know, just under 3 years of playing the game. I've done very little scouting on this account. The reason being, there just hasn't been any value to it, right? If I'm sitting in Chromium or even in Erodium, scouting what they do, I can look at somebody's roster and have a pretty good idea. If I'm sitting there with 3 Galactic Legends and they've got 7, one of 2 things is true. One of 2 things is true. They just don't play very well. One of 3 things. They don't play very much, or they don't play very well, or they're gonna absolutely smoke me. One of those 3 things is true. So pulling their mod score, look, that's another thing we can do to research. You can go on my Discord, you can pull mod scores with the bot. It's available. We have a bot room in the Discord where you can pull mod scores and see what your opponent's got. You can pull there's full roster reports. I haven't pulled one of those in years. Maybe I'll have to start getting into pulling those roster reports and see what man, I remember that. Boy, I used to do that back in the day. It's been a long time. Anyway, I'm gonna have to start researching my opponents, checking their mod scores, checking what's going on with their accounts, seeing what is happening with my opponents before we go to the match, and changing up my defense on a match-to-match basis. I'm gonna have to get into that habit here going forward if I'm gonna really get into Kyber 1 and stay there. Hey man, if you're in Kyber 1, your mods and Datacrons have got to be up to snuff, and if they are not, You will not succeed. It's just a period. You will not succeed getting to Kyber 1 and staying, and even I think in Kyber 2, I think this, mods is true all along the way. The Datacrons start to come into play when you get into the Kyber ranks, and they'll help you at lower ranks too. I'm a big proponent of farming Datacrons in Conquest because they will elevate your roster. But when you get into Kyber 1 and the deeper, higher levels of Kyber 2, mods and Datacrons is 50% of it. It's not, you can have the big giant roster and have everything sitting there. If you don't have the mods and Datacrons, it does not matter. You will not have success. So I pulled Sanjita's mod score here and my mod score, and you can just see it. It is clear. You just look at the bars. You don't have to look at the numbers where he's doubling plus all of my scores. My yellow bars, my gold bars are well below his. He has 5725 speed mods, and I've got 14. That's sobering. That is sobering. He has 7624 speed mods, and I've got 30. So this is just a sobering fact of all of it, is the first time I really get close to him is at the 9 and 10 speed mark. At anything above the speed of 10, he's just outclassing me in a very serious way. And I will tell you guys, and I think you know this is absolutely primarily due to the age of our rosters. The longer a roster's been around, the better opportunity you've had to farm mods over the long haul. And it is just a grind. It is challenging. There are mod packs. I don't recall ever buying a mod bundle in my life. That may be in my future here. I may need to start buying some mod bundles to get this thing moving and to get this train on the right tracks, because I've got to at least double all of these mod scores, and it is difficult to imagine me doing that by the end of the year. We need to save this mod score, 6.36, 12.67. Look at my 20 speed mods, only 23 of them. He's got 39. My 25 speed mods is 14 versus 57. Good God, man. I've got a lot of work to do with mods, and let's take a look at those Datacrons. Now, here are my Datacrons. I have done a lot of work to farm Datacrons here in the recent past, and you guys, I did a video with Sanjita here recently, well, maybe a month or two ago, but we talked about, he's like, you got to get your Datacrons, man. You got to farm them up while they're there, because then when they dismantle them on August 6th, you get, you're stacking up more and more rewards for dismantling as you move forward. The bigger, the better Maji, duh for dummies. The bigger and better Datacrons that you have. So I've got this Echoes of the Rebellion for my Phoenix, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my maxed out Datacrons here. Now, one thing about maxed out Datacrons for me is, traditionally speaking, I have not had a lot of these characters available to apply these max Datacrons to, right? Now, that's going to be changing as we continue to push this roster forward over time. We're going to start to see that I've got more and more of these teams available. I grabbed 2 of the focus Datacrons this time, Darkside Ray and Hermit Yoda, and I've got 3 of the maxed out Datacrons. I do have all of these characters as well in the game. So I'm continuing to work my Datacrons. There is work to be done. Let's take a look at Sanjita's. Now, here are his Datacrons. He's got the 2, but you can see the difference in the rosters already. He's got the Sign of Django Datacron and the Doctor. I don't have Dr. Afra up and running either. She's actually a pretty good counter for a lot of stuff. And then he's got 2 rows of the maxed Datacrons. And this guy doesn't even spend, man. So I can get there. I've got work to do. He's got 3 of the focus. He's working on Krennic. My Krennic sucks. There's no Zetas on him. But I've got to get up to where I'm doing stuff like this so that they, I get more of when they break them down, I get more rewards from them. So I've got mod and Datacron work to do in the coming months. And I got to get on my horse. I know that I've been doing my 100 refreshes in Conquest and my 100 refreshes on mods here lately. I may need to find some alternative sources, maybe find the cheapest sources possible for adding to that, because I got some catch-up work to do with mods and Datacrons on my account. I think that's actually the biggest hurdle for me. Maybe getting a lot more Relic 9s is a hurdle as well, but mods and Datacrons is a giant hurdle for me to get to Kyber 1 in Grand Arena. And the final thing I'm going to point out is I've kind of got a hidden trick up my sleeve for me getting to Kyber 1, and it's you guys. You know, we come on stream all the time. I try to play you can't get them all, but I try to play every round of Grand Arena on stream wherever possible at all times. And you guys are constantly telling me stuff. I don't have the time. I'm just going to be honest. I don't have the time to watch Arnold and Sanjita and Zareth and all these great players play. There's more. Calvin. I know I'm missing people. I just don't have time to absorb all that content because I'm making all the content for you guys. It's difficult for me to get out there and see what they're doing. Although that's got to be, you know, my studying. I mentioned I got to start studying and see what's out there. So that'll be part of my studying to see how these teams are used and what's going on. But you guys in chat are constantly giving me good ideas. You're occasionally giving me bad ideas as well, and I have to be able to sort through that, I know. But I get a lot of great ideas from chat about what I should be doing and playing with in Grand Arena. So, you know, that's going to be a hidden trick up my sleeve, an ace up my sleeve. Is what I should, well, they both go up your sleeve, don't they? An ace up your sleeve and a hidden trick up your sleeve. Why is it all up your sleeves? I guess that's where it goes. I think it's not really even like a euphemism. The ace goes in here. The hidden trick is in here. It might also be an ace. You pull it out. Was this your card? No, it wasn't. That's what chat says. It's an ace, baby. I don't know what any of that meant, but I've got you guys there to help me in my journey toward Kyber 1. We are pretty darn close right now. You know, you can smell it. But I gotta tell you, right when you can smell it is about the time I start taking beatings. So we will see what happens. It kind of cycles around to 5v5 rounds being where I take my beatings. Last time was pretty good though, but we'll see. We will see what happens. Well, you know what? I kind of took a week off back when I was on vacation too, where I would just jump in, play around. So I think before that last 5v5 round, I had taken a week off, so I dropped a little bit. So anyway, you guys will be there for it. This round of Grand Arena, we'll see what happens. It's going to be challenging. I need to start putting all this into play so that I can play with you guys and play for you guys. I hope you have a great day. I will talk to you very soon. And of course, always remember, I didn't get it loaded up. Nooch too good.